Okay, we are all set up and going live. So I will just let some few people in here. Okay, all right. So welcome to our artist lunch break for Friday. If you are here, thank you so much for joining me and welcome. My name is Maria, and I love to share the knowledge that I have about art so that I can help other people. And definitely with my Art Pixie, I'm able to do that. So, just so that you know, I am on YouTube Live and Instagram Live at the same time. So, there will be a little back and forth, but I will definitely pay attention to both. So, let me just give some waves to people coming in. Welcome. And I just want to say hi to Babs4234 and Melissa and Neil. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me put this on. There we go. All right. So today, well, first of all, I want to say thank you for joining me. And if you're new, welcome. And I'm doing a whole series about rekindling the artist in you. And I know that there was a time in my life where I had set art aside. I was raising a family, starting a career. All of those things are good. None of those things are, a problem, but just that your focus and your priority tends to shift. And so this is truly for anyone who wants to get back into art and rekindle that passion that you have and that love that you have for art. So if that's you, welcome. This is the third week in the series. So if you missed the prior lives and videos, you can go back and watch them. I have them on my YouTube channel and also on Instagram. For the videos, they're on YouTube. All of the lives are on Instagram and YouTube both. So just to clarify. And if you didn't catch yesterday's video, we talked about our art space, your art space, the place that you can set up all of your materials and everything so that you have them right where you need them when you're ready to work on your art practice. And the whole idea is going from no art space to art space. So just to give a little recap, I talked about claiming your space. So step one, claim that space, whether it is a office space or a loft area in your house. It could be in the back porch. It can be anywhere where you feel you can set up that space and designate it solely towards your art practice. And then we talked about organization. And I don't know about you, but I have been in that place where I can't find that eraser. I can't find that mechanical pencil that I need right in this moment. And those moments are frustrating. So organizing that art space and using different containers to help you to always know where your materials are. So if that sounds like something you would be interested in, go back and check out that video. So today I want to talk about step 3 in this process. And the whole idea is to have your favorites in arm's reach. You know what your favorites are. Those tools and art supplies that you use all the time. But even beyond that, things that you know that you're going to need while you're working on your art. So let me explain. This does tie into organization. And it definitely ties into your art space and that dedicated space that you have set aside for your art practice. But it's taking it a little step further in that you always have these tools handy in an arm's reach, right? So you are going to have that table, like for example, so I have a designated art table in my art studio. It's a drafting table that I got at Michael's. I'm sure that they still have them if you're interested. But this is also the place where I film all of my overhead videos for YouTube. So I have a lot of the supplies that I need right there at my arm's reach. And this is where I keep all of my favorite supplies. I have a set of micron pens. I have paints handy. I also make sure that I have washi tape and scissors and all of those things that I'm going to need, and I don't have to go and try to find them. other supplies that I would use frequently, right? So that makes sense. I also keep a jar of erasers handy because, it always comes to that point where you need to erase something and you can't find an eraser. So I've just learned over the years to have a jar of erasers and have it handy. Clips that I might want to clip down some of my paper with, or pull back some of the pages from my art journal. Rulers and all the things that will help me save time, right? I like to get stuff done. And I can't stand it when I'm trying to find something, can't find it. And I'm wasting time when I have this amazing art idea, right? That I want to get down on paper. And so this just eliminates that problem because I know where those things are and I can save time. In additional, I also have a bag that I take on the go. And it has its own set of art supplies as well. So when I know that I'm going to be leaving to maybe go paint in a coffee shop or, outside somewhere out and about, I always take a pencil pouch with me and all the other supplies that I'm going to need. And this has its own set of micron pens. It has its own set of like my eraser and my washi tape eraser. My watercolor kit. I have an extra brush in here just in case I run out of water. I know, so clever. And then my micron pens. So I have a whole separate set of micron pens in here. Why? So that I don't take them from my art space at home. I don't take them from my desk. So I have a set at my desk and I have a set that I can take on the go. And I always have my favorites at an arm's reach, even on the go. So that's a little side tip to your art space. You can take your art space quote with you. So this does two things. It eliminates me taking art supplies from my desk, from my art space. But then I also still have my favorites at arm's reach when I'm out and about. So do you have any questions about art space? I know that I covered, making sure that you have the tools that you use handy. Like if you draw, you want to make sure you have all of your pencils right there at your desk. If you work with acrylic, you want to make sure that you have all of your tubes of paint handy, and things like that. So if you have any questions, put them down below. Color is My Heaven just joined. That is an awesome name. I love that. Love that. And also Viscon. So sweet. Okay, so thank you for joining. And I was just talking about, and you can go back and watch the replay too if you missed the first part, but just recapping the video that I put out yesterday and then talking about your art space and how you can take it a step further and have everything that you needed at arm's reach. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. And in the meantime, while you're doing that, I'm going to share with you a few of the things that I have at my art desk. Now, I'm obviously in my dining room, but I brought a few things up from my desk to show you. So this is my jar of erasers. And I keep this at my desk at all times so that I can open it up and grab an eraser whenever I need it. That jar stays there. That is its home. Obviously, I've taken it out of its home for a second, but it'll be fine. It'll be returned. And I got this jar at Hobby Lobby. It's the Heritage glass. But I like them because they have the lids. You don't even have to keep the lid on it if you don't want to, but so that. Another thing that I have handy are my paint palettes. So I'm sorry, palette knives. Just called them the wrong thing. I keep those handy too so that I can just grab those whenever I need them. I have a cart. And you can pick up the carts at Michael's. I've seen them on Amazon. They're at IKEA, but this little caddy I got at Michael's, and I keep this on my cart. It just clips in. See the clips there. And I have everything that I need. And these are things that don't leave my desk. Now, every once in a while, I have scissors disappear, but that is because I have teenagers in the house. But other than that, everything just pretty much stays here. But I have different items that I need quickly. I have different pairs of scissors. I have some that are just more of that fine cut that I may need. I have a whole set of micron pins handy, and then also a ruler, extra gel pens. I love to use the white gel pen. If you've been following, you would know that I use this white gel pen all the time. I love it. And just to let you know what brand, it's the Uniball Signo Broad. I also have a silver, and I typically have like bronze, teal, blue, and different colors like that. Anyway, this is on hand. I can grab it really quickly. Let's set that over here. And then I also have other little bins inside of my cart. So this one has the gelatos, which I use for my mixed media. Make sure both of you can see this. And these are great for watercolor and blending and things like that. So I do have a little blender in the same container. I don't have to go find the blender, right? It's right here. So that is awesome. And then I'll show you one more. This is all of my pencil sharpeners for when I do color pencils or watercolor pencils. I have the sharpeners right here. I have different ones, mostly because, when I go into the store and they look really cool, then, I'd like to buy it. And then if they're cute, that also counts as I need to buy that. Some whiteout if I need it. I have a date stamp in here whenever I do journals and I want to keep track of the date. I use that. And then also clips. So these clips are great when I'm trying to hold back a paper from one of my art journals. So I just have all those things handy so I don't have to go search and find them in my art studio. And there may be a time or two where I need to go find something, like, I don't know, ribbon or something like that, or a different kind of, or a larger pair of scissors or something like that. Then those would be kind of exceptions to the rules because those aren't things that I use all the time, but I would get up from my desk and I would need to go get them. But it's not something that I would keep at my desk because I don't use it all the time. So that's really the key takeaway from all this. Okay, so let me see. Color is my heaven asks, what's the best way to store artwork when they're losing pages or even canvases that I don't want or can't display? This is a great question. So I have the IKEA, I think it's the Alex, but it's very wide and it holds the watercolor paper. I think that would be a great place to store some of your artwork. I've also found larger bins that are drawers that I've been able to, because usually your paper is larger and you need a flat surface. And so you don't want to like fold it or bend it. So you really want those flat drawers that are large enough to be able to house those and keep them safe. I have canvases and I have a closet in my art studio. And we didn't talk about this, but having that closet or that extra space is a bonus for those kinds of things that you really need to kind of store away, or you're maybe not working on it right now. I have some canvases that I don't like I started a painting and I never finished it, or it was headed in the wrong direction. And so it might be something that I want to gesso over and paint later. So I have them all on the shelf and I can see them. And then I have a curtain that covers that space because it's underneath the stairs of my house. So that is my quote unquote closet. And it works out great because if I need something, then I can go check it out, but it's not like out there for all the world to see. So if you have a closet space or something that you can make into a closet space, that would be a great way to keep those canvases that you're not necessarily going to display. I also have some canvases that I have created as gifts that I'm going to gift somebody, or maybe I'm going to sell at an art fair or something like that. I also keep those on there because I want to keep them in a safe, dry, and relatively protected space. And so that works. And the shelf that I use, I got at IKEA. So hopefully that helps. And then also, do you think that laminating an artwork decreases the value? I think it depends on what it is. If it is like a watercolor piece, I wouldn't recommend it because most watercolor papers have a rough texture. And if you're going to laminate it, it's not going to seal properly because it's not a flat surface. Remember that watercolor paper has a lot of ripples and ridges, and that's how it collects all of the watercolor. So I guess it would depend on what it is. If it's a print and it's flat and it's maybe something that you want to sell, it might work. But so I guess it would depend on too, like you wouldn't want to laminate charcoal, for example, but instead use a spray adhesive that would protect it that way. So there are other options other than laminating. I can see where that would work too if you're going to create like bookmarks, right? Maybe you're going to sell bookmarks, and you've created watercolor bookmarks. That would be an exception to the rule that maybe you want to laminate them, because I've seen bookmarks that are not laminated and they're sprayed with the protective adhesive and it still keeps the artwork intact and it doesn't smear or anything like that, especially with watercolor, because it reactivates with water, right? So if it gets wet, then that artwork will not be preserved. So that would probably be my exception to the rule for watercolor paper. But great question. That really got me thinking. And I don't know if it would, quote unquote, preserve it. What I like to use, let's throw out my idea, but I have, and I don't have it up here to show you, but I know I've showed it in other videos. I have portfolios. They're black. They have sleeves, and I can put in different sizes. So when I do my Inktober, for example, I use 5x7 portfolios, and I take those original pieces of work and I slide them into the portfolio. I know where my entire collection is because it is in that one portfolio, and then I can just grab it. I have larger portfolios. There's the Itoya portfolio. That's a name brand, really good, but I've seen some off-brand. I've ordered some Blick. They also have some of those portfolios, but you put your work in and it keeps them safe. It keeps it protected. So yeah, so she asked, I was thinking about laminating charcoal or pastel pieces on colored paper. There is a spray that actually makes it worse for me, but these are good points and I should experiment first. Yeah, experiment, but of course we never want to ruin our artwork, right? So it's kind of hard. Experiment on, maybe something smaller, like a smaller piece that you can laminate. Or I know when I have laminating sheets and I have made bookmarks out of them. And you can fit several different pieces on there. So you could kind of have your test 1, test 2, test 3, test 4, and feed them all through the laminating machine and see how it works. It will definitely keep the dust off your work, but you can also do that by framing, certain pieces and things like that. And the portfolio will also keep the dust off of your work as well. But yeah, so yeah, let me know how it goes for you and how that works, because I would be interested too. I don't work with a lot of charcoal, but I have a piece from college hung up on my wall, and I have a plexiglass over it. And I'm not even going to tell you how old it is, but let's just say it's over 20 years old, and it's still is standing the test of time. And I created that on newsprint paper. So yeah, there's definitely different things that you can do to preserve those pieces. Great question. All right. Okay, so I have a question from Derica. She said, how do you keep your smaller art brushes and water for them? Are you talking about the ones on the go? Or are you talking about the watercolor brushes? Are you talking about on the go? Just to clarify. So if I have, yeah, on the go. So I have these kind of on the go brushes, and I fill them with water. And if I'm going to leave my house, I will usually take 2 or 3 with me if I think I'm going to need a lot of water. I also take a bottled water with me every once in a while, and you can refill it. But the key to keeping them like in good form and in good shape, and tell me if I'm going in the wrong direction, is afterwards you wash them off. Let me see if I have it. I don't think I do. Yes, I do. Okay, so have a cloth with, and then you just drip the water, and then you're going to clean it off. And a watercolor brush like this on the go, it comes clean like every single time. So I could use brown watercolor, clean it off, and then go straight into the yellow, and you would never even know that I just used brown paint. And if you use watercolor, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You don't want to mix the brown and the yellow. If you want a pure yellow, you don't want it mixed with any other darker color. It will ruin the yellow. Yeah. So I also have these, like I have watercolor kits, and they also come with these as well, but you can buy them individually like on Amazon, and they have lids, but this one doesn't have the lid on it. Oh, here it is. Ha. So you can keep it protected, and then I just put it in my to-go bag, and I have it with me. And then I also have like a watercolor kit on the go, and it has the brush fits right inside the watercolor kit. So hopefully that answers your questions. I have put regular brushes in here. I just always get nervous that the paintbrush itself is going to get ruined or, kind of bent or something like that. So I use acrylic. So Derica asked, do you use acrylic paint on regular brushes? When you mean regular brushes, I typically buy acrylic brushes for acrylic paint. I buy watercolor brushes for watercolor. But like, for example, when you get into like gouache, I usually use watercolor for that. Anything that has like a wet medium, I might use that, or if I'm going to add water to it. But the key with the acrylic paint, if you are going to use a brush, you need to wash it straight away, or at least have like a jar of water handy that you can keep your brushes in, because acrylic, when it dries, becomes plastic. It is plastic. It will ruin your brush. And so I have just made a habit of always cleaning your brush after you're done using the acrylic paint. You can use regular hobby brushes with acrylic paint. I actually think acrylic paint, you have more flexibility. Like you don't have as much flexibility with oil paint or with watercolor, but you do with acrylic. Great question though. But I know I've gone into Michael's, for example, and they have their brushes in dedicated spaces. So they have their oil brushes in one place. They have their acrylic brushes. They have their watercolor brushes all in one place. But you can go to the hobby section, right? And you can find paintbrushes there too. And I personally wouldn't use them for watercolor, but I would definitely use them with acrylic. So I hope that answers your question. Good questions today. All right. So I don't see any others. If I missed one, I will check the comments just to see if I missed any. But I love the questions. If you have any more questions, you can definitely you can private message me through Instagram. You can also ask. I'm going to put the replay up today on both Instagram and YouTube, and you can ask your questions there too, and I will get to you as soon as I can. Derek said, I just painted a really tall tiki mask. Oh, cool. For outside. What do you use to cover the acrylic paint outside? So there are weather resistant sprays that you can buy. Hobby Lobby. I think I've even seen them at Lowe's, but definitely like Michael's Hobby Lobby. You can find them online too. But they protect your art when you're outside. A lot of muralists will use this to protect the art outside, but they are sprays. There's also like the Mod Podge and those kinds of things will also protect your work. You can get really fancy. Liquitex has some protective like it's not gesso, but it's a protective layer that you can put over your acrylic painting. So like if you're gonna hang a acrylic painting in your house, like I have one over here. You can't see it over in the right there. Then you can protect it with this glaze that you put over the top. Liquitex has a really good one, and there are many out there. So I would recommend either a spray or a glaze. I've done this for commission pieces that I know people, like if it's on a canvas and I know they're going to be hanging it in their house, they collect dust and you want to be able to wash them off. So I'll seal them with that as well. But there are ones specifically for outdoor use. I would go to Amazon and Google it, or run into Michael's. They have a whole section there that have different sprays and adhesives that you can use. In the art section, you can go and you can find the Liquitex sealer that you can put over the top. So yeah, hope that helps. I have some wood pieces too that I have created, and I've done the same thing, and I have them hanging in my house. That I have painted on, and then I have put the protective coating over the top. You are very welcome. All right, awesome. Okay, well, our lunch break, I'm gonna wrap it up. I have in the forefront of my mind that, since it's an artist lunch break, we should keep it under 30 minutes if possible. So I'm going to be just thinking about that. If you've got to get back to work and things like that, thank you so much for joining me. I will have the replay if you want to go back and watch it. And you are so welcome. I'm glad you had fun. And next week, I will be having my last live stream for May. So please join me for that. It'll be at noon, just like all of the other ones. And then I am planning a live for later in the summer to launch some of my workshops that I am getting ready for. So if you're interested in that, make sure you like, follow, share, and all those fun things. And I will see you next week. Thanks for joining me. Bye.